This is still the Ghanaian German Center for Jobs Migration and Reintegration and the Ghana Virtual Career Fair, brought to you by the GGC and AHK, the German Development Corporation, with support from the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations. Earlier on, we had an address from the Minister himself, and we appreciate him making time to address us for this conference. We also heard from the Country Director of GIZ, Mrs. Regina Bauer-Barbosa, and the Deputy Head of Mission for the German Embassy here in Accra, Mr. Hans-Helge Sander. Dr. Esi Ansah was our keynote address speaker, and she spoke to us on digitalization and what it means for employment and entrepreneurship. And we'll be speaking shortly with our panelists on that same topic. And so please do pay attention, please do stay tuned with us. Again, if you are on the Google platform, we will continue all the way through the afternoon. But if you're on Facebook, we will continue after this particular panel discussion. So we want to again welcome our panelists for today. And we'll be discussing this topic. And they're joining us from various locations. Again, as you know, this is the new normal. So we're not used to doing this often, but it looks as though this is going to be the trend now in this coronavirus era, post-coronavirus era. So we'll be hearing from Dr. Ipia Ofori Asumedu, who is the National Project Manager for the International Labour Organization, Emmanuel Leslie Adai, who is the co-founder of Africa Skills Hub, Andrew Ayeku, who is West African Manager for E4 Impact Foundation and a lecturer at the University of Professional Studies. Josiah Edison is co-founder of the iSpace Foundation, and David Ofusudote is senior partner at AB and David Africa. A warm welcome to all of our panelists. Thank you for your patience. And this is the new normal. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
This is the first in Ghana. But I'm sure for most of you, this is not the video calling aspect of it, but the fact that this is an entire fair and we're kicking it off with this keynote address. It's a pleasure to have all of you. We'll kick it off with this first question, and I'd like to ask Dr. Ofori Asumedu, David, and Josiah for their thoughts on this. Again, this is about the post-coronavirus labor market. The novel coronavirus has changed the way we work and the way that we do business. This is going to be the way we do things for the foreseeable future. We're not really sure when it will change. In this era of the new normal, what are some of the simple and affordable adjustments that people can make to incorporate technology into their regimen and enable their businesses to work and run more smoothly? So, Dr. Ofori Asumedu.
Okay.
And Josiah.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. And yes, you have introduced me, but I want to say just one sentence about what the ILO is. The ILO is actually a UN specialized agency for work. We just deal with 4 main issues: rights at work, social dialogue, and when I say how workers and employers can communicate, job creation or employment, and then we also look at social protection. So the ILO had been looking at what we call the future of work starting 2018, even before Corona came onto the scene, COVID-19. What were we discussing? We are 100 years old in 2019, so we realized that the face of the world of work must change. We started from a long time with the coal era, the electricity, then industrial revolution, and now we've come to a sort of digitalization. So we started having these kind of discussions, and people got together all across the globe to say, what can we see the new world of work becoming? So now Corona has made it even more important. So this is a job fair, so the target is mainly young people. You know, the world is experiencing a lot of transformative change in technology, in climate change, globalization, migration, and so on. What does this mean for us? We know a lot of young people want to see greener pastures. They would have moved because of Corona, but here is our green pastures now. Here is the way we're now going to work. So the young people here can take a lot of advantage over this technological innovation revolution, because we stand on this brink of this revolution, and it will, as you said, change the way we work, change the way everybody has to look at things. We are not sure how it's going to unfold, but what we do know is that there are lots of things that we were using: coal, now electricity, now electronics. We have what we call a fourth revolution, and that is the revolution we are in now. It is digitalization. Young people have to know how to take advantage of this. What are some of the few things we can do? Because that was your question. What are some of the simple, affordable adjustments young people can make or people can make? So there are lots of possibilities. Almost everybody has a mobile device. Now, these mobile devices have a lot of unprecedented power, storage capacity, and so on and so forth. There is 3D printing, for instance. What happened when there was Corona? Some enterprises had to change the way they worked to use 3D to print, for instance, ventilators. Look at Zipline in Ghana. At first, everybody had to carry things from one place to the other. But now we are using technology like drones. We are using software. There's digital fabrication. There is using the biological and the engineering to come together to even find medications and so on and so forth. So we are using synthetic biology, but this is not new to us. If you look at the olden days, they were using things like mud, landcrete, mud, straw, or grass to form bricks to build. It's just that now young people have to be more innovative. People have to be more innovative. Take advantage of the fourth industrial revolution. It has great potential in robotics. It is also not new to Ghana. There is a secondary school that even won a robotics award in Ghana. Look at DSTV, look at telemarketing. Amazon is now hiring when the old school is actually laying people off. Now people have innovated even in Ghana, without mentioning names of any companies. Some will go and market your produce from the market for you and bring it home. People are taking fleets of motorbike riders and making them into dispatch. So we have to look at the supply chain, and that's one thing ILO works on. We work on the larger picture. We do not work with individual companies, but we work with employers associations. We work with governments. We work with trade unions. That is called tripartism. So people can now use their social networks as an innovation. How can you now make a business from what is available to you, remotely buying from others? This revolution can yield a lot of gains, but also can increase inequalities, because we know that when you have a workplace, you have a union. If you have a problem, somebody can go and work for you. But in this new normal, if you're on your own, who speaks for you? So these are some of the discussions that ILO has been having. The SDGs remain our roadmap. We need to continue to look at the Sustainable Development Goals, where the challenges of decent work, climate change, inequality, and poverty continue to remain. Continue to remain. These challenges will still need political will and resources to overcome. So I think we are many speakers. So I'll just conclude by saying innovation, digitalization, use what we already have. And what we have is technology. Thank you.
Doc spoke a lot about innovation and people already using what they have. So we just like for you to also make your comments on that question.
If I got the question right, initially it was about what are the little changes you can make in this COVID era for the purposes of work. I think the first thing that comes to mind is we seem to have two classes of people here. Those who want to start work, young people want to start work, and those who are already working and want to continue work. Now, for those who want to start work, the little changes you may need to make is recognize the need to be able to have something to sell and to be able to have a market that will buy it. Technology becomes a different thing as to how you are able to use that process to reach the market, and maybe you have occasion to touch on that. But having said that, I think even before you consider how to continue work or how to start work, it's important that you understand you need to survive the corona first. and it's only when you survive that you can do the work. And if you are in this fair, I'm assuming you have survived Corona up to this stage, and therefore you need to move to the next level. And I agree with the previous speaker that we need to start with what we already have. Everybody has a phone. If you are in this fair, you either have a phone or some laptop. So the little changes you need to make is to look at how what you already have can become a basis for business and to leverage. And simple things like WhatsApp, which we already use to share jokes and sentence around and talk politics, etc., can actually become a basis for business. Many people do not know, for example, that there is WhatsApp for business, which is free actually. And unless you want to increase the number of people you want to share or to be on your platform, it's actually free. So if you had access to a what do you call it, a digital chip, which is mainly designed for your business, you can separate that from your normal jokes that you share on WhatsApp and dedicate that to business. It's a very big tool that we are not utilizing. The Zoom we are already utilizing, the Skype for Business, these tools already give us, but for many entrepreneurs and for young people, they forget the soft skills of business. So for example, you can have WhatsApp, but if you do not have an electronic letterhead, you may be sending invoices to people and it is not well branded so that they don't recognize it as a business entity that they have to. So you have to be sure that you have got somebody to simply design an electronic version of your letterhead or your invoice to enable you be able to reach them. At the same time, you have had an online payment platform, connected it through an API to your bank to be able to send the invoices and receive the money. That way, you are reaching customers and gradually beginning to earn income that you can use. And there are many opportunities that COVID has created as a result that I'm sure we can tap into and talk about all the more. So the existing tools you already have, if you enhance it in a business direction, then you get to the point where you're already beginning to see. And then if you also look at COVID from 3 angles, and again, this is something I'm sure we can talk about. If you look at COVID from the 3 angles of what I call the immediate response to COVID, the short-term response to COVID, which will be the era, the one many people are calling new normal, I differ slightly. The new normal is in 2 categories. I don't believe wearing of masks, for example, is going to last for 5 years. So it's a temporary new normal. So if your business is the production of masks, you need to be sure that you are treating it as a medium term that you need to transition into maybe making of clothes in the long term. So if you categorize
but
this.
David, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but nobody could have predicted what 2020 would be like.
Yeah.
You're saying that in 5 years' time, you don't think masks will be something
Yes.
that people are wearing
Yeah.
all the time. How sure can we be? The truth is that we can plan or we can assume or we could predict, but really the reality is that we really do not know.
So we cannot be sure, but I'm speaking as an entrepreneur and as a business person. You need to always look at whether the plan you are implementing for your business is just responding to a short-term response or a medium-term response or a long-term response. So for example, if you invest in your whole life in the creation of masks and mask wearing fades away, you are going to have a problem. So you need to understand that once you are using that for COVID, there may be a change and you may need to take advantage of the gig economy and have multiple streams of income and transition your mask wearing into clothes as an example. And again, just to land at a place,
nice.
if you take advantage.
I'm so sorry to have to cut you off because of time, but I'd love to hear Josiah's take on this as well, on things that people can do to incorporate technology into their business practices or their work, and what this means in this new age.
Okay.
Josiah.
So once again, thank you for this event. And yeah, I mean, I think what is happening is we as a continent, we become technologically reactive as opposed to active, right? So what we're seeing is we're reacting to what innovation is. But like the previous speakers have already said, we have these tools already. So the mobile phones, the iPads, and all the people already have them. But it's about having those relevant applications on there that enables you to use them. So, but then we also have to be very careful when we talk about implementing technology in work, because we have a sector that are not technologically based, right? So, and whether we like it or not, they probably are the biggest sector. So how do we then incorporate those people into technology? So imagine people that used to go around and collect susu, for example, physically go around and collect the cash and sign in books. Now we need to migrate those people into using mobile money, right? See, so you get your clients sign up onto digital platform. So rather than you physically have to go to them, they can send you the money by using mobile money. So that's one of the basic things that you can do. If you're an agricultural person, again, if you need to go to the market every Tuesday to just go and bring your goods down, you can then have an app or even a basic platform that allows you to get in contact with logistics companies that can come and pick up the goods from your farm, take it to the market, and then it's sold, the money is put into your account digitally. So again, we have to be very, very careful in how we look at businesses, because those of us maybe in Accra might be technologically savvy. So we can talk about people going online and using the likes of Google Meet, Zoom, Skype, people using G drivers and Google Drive and all of those other stuff. But some businesses, and it costs a lot of money for that to happen. So we have to also look at the cost of technology. And as a continent, because we've become very technologically reactive, we've not created these innovations for ourselves. So it's very expensive for other people to jump onto that platform. And that is the reason why a lot of the people are not using it. So I think we need to look at the cost element of it as well. But if you want to keep it basic, let's look at mobile money. Let's look at the likes of free tools like Google Drive and the use of Zoom and all of these other basic technologies that we can use. But so for me, I think that's what we need to look at.
Fantastic, thank you. And we do want to make a bit of time for question and answer. So get ready for those of you who are watching, and you may have some questions for our panelists. But before that, let's talk to Andrew and Emmanuel very quickly. We've heard this a lot in the past few months, essential workers. And I'm sure before this pandemic, probably all of us thought we were essential to our jobs or our businesses. And Corona has come to remind us that not everybody is considered essential. But having said that, it has been defined by this pandemic to some extent. Many people have been forced to adapt to this changing job market. So for somebody whose employment has been negatively impacted by COVID-19, what would you recommend they can do to enhance their digital skills and successfully compete for jobs in the market? Now, Josiah has already talked about the fact that technology can be expensive for a lot of the masses. So for people who want to be part of this new digital era, how would you recommend they can do that in a simple, effective, and affordable way? Let's go to Andrew first and then Emmanuel.
Thank you very much, Koki. I think that it's very important that people need to upgrade their skills, especially with the digitization, and have digital skills, because that is what is being needed now. People are working remotely. People need to be very effective. Can you hear me? So basically, that is what is happening now. I think some of the skills people need to look out for is about data analysis skills and common Excel skills. The university students really don't understand Excel, and it becomes a very difficulty. So now that the pandemic is changing the new normal, things are changing and other things, it's you to learn certain skills. As I said, social media skills, how to do common search engine. These are skills that you can learn on the job. These are, you may wonder, during the pandemic, we're trying to organize lectures on Google Meet and other things, and most students couldn't do it. We're offering training to workers, and they are not able to know how those skills work. So it's very important that you get to know those skills, and those skills are available online, that people can learn on their own. So for me, you need to digitize your current skills that you have and be able to do other things as well.
Can we go to Emmanuel very quickly for your take on that as well, on how people can effectively, affordably enhance their digital skills in this new era, this post-coronavirus era?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me this morning. For me, I always say this, that people should be ready to do jobs that are not related to their field of career or field of experience. And COVID has taught us that you should be ready to do any other kind of job. Especially you can be an accountant, and now you need to learn how to use Google tools. An accountant, now you need to learn how to do Google Analytics. And these are things that as a young person, you should take advantage of. Many a times you feel like because I'm doing marketing degree in marketing, I'm degree in accounting, that's the only thing that I need to know. But COVID has taught us that at least you need to know more things than this. So for me, I think at this time that many people are losing their job, and now that they are home, they should spend time to learn free tools that are online. When you go to Google Analytics certification, these are free tools that you can learn, and they'll give you a certificate to be able to look for job. If you also go to, Excel, Microsoft Word, and as Mr. Eku said, you can also learn it and you can give certification to be able to add it to your CV to look for a job. The other thing also social media marketing, as Mr. Eku has said already, digital marketing is a basic tool now that every business needs someone to manage their social media for them. So if you are home at this moment and you don't have a job, you can easily learn these tools and definitely able to find a job during this area.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Again, this is our panel discussion on the post-coronavirus job market, digitalization and entrepreneurship as crucial skill sets for success in business. If you have any questions, you can send them to us on social media. If you're on the Hubilo platform, you can post them in the event feed and we'll pick up those questions as well. But before we go to that, let's think a bit about this. How can you predict and plan? I think we started on a bit of this with David, and David, I'll ask you to continue here. But how can we predict and plan? We've already seen that 2020 took us by surprise for the most part. David has also already talked about the fact that if you're into one type of business, you might as well want to diversify your portfolio because nobody knows the future. So let's talk a bit more about that, Andrew, David, and Dr. Equia, about how people can diversify, how people can become more versatile in this new era, and how you can plan for that. Because really, as we've said earlier, we can make the best of plans, but then life has a way of thwarting those plans. So let's talk a bit more about planning and making yourself still relevant in the wake of intelligent machines and smart devices taking over a lot of human function. Dr. Equia.
Okay, so thank you for giving me the floor again. You know, the ILO and GIZ is actually implementing a project called LMER, that is it's labor, migrant, employment and reintegration. So labor migration, employment and reintegration project is for potential and return migrants. So who is a potential migrant? A potential migrant is anybody, including all of us, who might want to go and see greener pastures. But what are we doing? We've all talked about digitalization and so on and so forth, but there are real important skills that you must use or have to be able to take advantage of this. And one of the tools that ILO has is called Start and Improve Your Business. We also have another tool called Grow and Improve Your Business, and also financial education. We have trained people in the public employment centers, some of them, and also in the Ghana German Center. They will take you and mentor you through this process because you need to know your target. You need to know the environment in which you are in. You also have to have a business plan. So even if you want to go digital, you have to find out who is doing it, how are they doing it. You also need funding, and nobody has talked about funding. No matter how small it is, you need money for internet. You might even need a modem. So all these things are things you must plan with. And in our training, we show you how to even access some kind of funding from institutions like Snapia Bar, like Vision Fund, even cooperatives, which is run by the Ministry of Employment. So as much as we talk about the availability of these things, there are also some hard skills you need to learn, not only the soft ones or the DIY ones where you do yourself, as other speakers have rightly said, you can educate yourself. You know, there's formal education, which most people have had, some have not had, but there's informal and non-formal. And these are also arenas where people have to take advantage of. It's not only your formal education. Some people think formal education is a be it and end all. So as soon as they are, now I'm an accountant, I'm a pharmacist. But after the theoretical training, you now have to now go and learn the soft skills. You now have to learn other skills. So ILO is also collaborating with GT in a skill up project. So in this project also, we are trying to find skills councils. You can also have vocational education after your degree. So it doesn't matter, well, I think the previous speaker said it, you've had a degree in such and such, but but you can still go through vocations to learn what is happening. Having said that, there should also be a conducive environment. Government has to have a conducive environment, and that's what their stimulus packages. So if you are a worker, an employer, or a young, you need to take advantage of some of these stimulus packages through MBSSI and places like that. Get access to finances. And I'm so glad when I think, I don't know whether it was Emmanuel or Josiah who says, you have to be alive to take advantage of these things. So access to universal health is very important. I know we're pressed for time, so I think I will end here and just conclude with saying you need skills.
Thank you very much.
Not only soft skills, hard skills also, and vocational skills. Thank you,
Dr. Kuya. David, you said we need to stay ahead of the game. You said we need to be versatile. You said we need to diversify. Very quickly, how do we do that?
I think you were also looking at how do you predict the direction. I think it's, instead of focusing purely on entrepreneurship skills or technology, if you took a short step approach and look at, is there a problem you have identified you can solve? Is there a solution you already have? Are there certain trends relating to that particular problem? Because at times you are solving a current problem, but the trend is moving in a different direction. And are there tools you can use? That's only when technology comes in. And then finally, how do you enter the market? That's when maybe money comes in. If you look at this, if you take these steps, you can see that it's not so difficult identifying opportunities in the market. So for example, and I will make it quick, for example, you may find that at this stage that there are many people at home, how to do things becomes something that you can sell. How to cook can be something you can do online video and sell. How to upgrade employees is something that you can sell. And that's when all the linkages about food delivery, etc., online sales, all of them come in. So I would rather advise young people and entrepreneurs to look at this in terms of the problem, the solution they have, the trends they observe, and how they can help.
But David, can I ask you a question? When we look at data, right? Because without data, you can't really make an informed decision. So if
that comes to the market,
Let's go quickly to Andrew. Andrew, in the lecture hall, what do you tell your students about preparing and planning for the unknown, but still staying relevant?
So normally in the lecture room, as you said, normally what I tell my students are that you need to plan, you need to look at the industry trends. What is going on in the industry that you plan to work? So the students need to basically understand what are the industry trends. Secondly, what are the new opportunities coming up? There are new opportunities coming up. There are new job markets coming up. There are new skills that are being developed. So I tell my students, what are the new skills you have to develop? And then finally, in developing those skills, what do you need to develop those skills? What are the logistics that you need to be able to develop those skills? So in order for you to plan, what are the industry strengths? If you want to work in the banking sector, is it growing? Technology, is it growing? Is it agri? So you look at all those things to be able to plan. And then look at the new opportunities coming out because of the pandemic and see how you can plan for it as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Andrew. Very quickly, before we take maybe a couple of questions, if we have time, I'd like to ask all of you just very quickly about this. Have you had to lay anyone off because of this pandemic? Have you had to make that unfortunate decision to tell someone that you can no longer employ them? And how do you motivate people who are now faced with that reality of unemployment because of an unforeseen circumstance? How do you motivate that person to continue to improve upon themselves or to continue to make themselves more competitive in this tough job market? So let's go from Dr. Kuya and then all of the panelists, just very quickly.
Okay, so thank you. Like I said, for us, we have a tool. Start and improve your business. Grow and improve your business. So if you have to be laid off, have skills. You have to look at the job market. What is available? What, like the previous speaker said, that is called business plan. You need to develop a business plan, and everybody has something that somebody wants. So that is what I want to end with.
Thank you so much. David, motivating people who have found themselves unemployed.
Well, we've not had that unfortunate point to make any such decision. We've not laid off anybody. And And we
That's
do not
great.
believe, we do not believe we will
Congratulations.
lay off anybody at least over the next 6 months. So we are fine on that. But in
Fantastic.
times like this, 2 things I recommend to everybody. If you have a business continuity plan, activate it, but you use the time to plan on what to do after the event is over.
Very simple and straight to the point.
Yeah.
Josiah.
Okay, so just like David, we've not laid anybody off. I'm letting my staff either work from home or multitasking because, again, and that's one thing that I learned a lot growing up in the UK. When you multitask, it's all about being an asset in your organization. So position yourself as an asset in your organization and you will never be laid off. So even if you're a receptionist, migrate from that to become the office manager. So then you find problems in the office that needs to be addressed. So this way, in this climate of COVID where nobody's coming to the office, you could have been given advice on how to, position the space for it to be friendly, the policy. So it's all about reskilling yourself and multitasking and becoming an asset to your organization, and you will never be laid off.
Thank you. Andrew.
Okay, basically what we have done is that those we thought of letting them go off, rather retraining them in new skills. So they are not off, they are still in their job, but we are training them in new skills to make them valuable to the organization. Thank you.
Very nice, very nice. And finally, Emmanuel.
Yeah, as Josiah said, we also have not laid anyone yet. I mean, but what we've done so far is to allow our employees to work from home. And also because we realize that most of the job that they do here can be done even when they are home. So now we've able to encourage a lot of them to use more digital tools to able to work effectively and improve on whatever they do.
Thank you so much to all of our panelists, Dr. Ikuya, David, Josiah, Emmanuel, and Andrew for joining us for this all-important discussion on the post-coronavirus work environment. Again, on the platform, if you've got any messages, if you've got any comments that you want to make, please send them to us, okay? If you're on the Hubelo platform, you can very easily do that. There's the event feed, and that's where we'll be taking all of your comments from. If you're on Hubelo, if you're on social media, on Facebook, watching us either on the Ghana German Center for Jobs Facebook page or the Facebook page of GIZ or of TV Africa, then you can just send your comments there. As I mentioned earlier, this will be the end of the road for those of you watching us either on TV or on Facebook. From here on, we'll be going to the Hubelo platform, which is where registered participants will take part in the sessions that are already there. We have our speakers who will be joining us remotely again, just as you saw in this panel discussion. If you've been browsing the platform, you will see that we have several workshops, several sessions lined up for you in different categories. We'll talk about that more in just a bit. But again, I want to say a big thank you to our first round of panelists for joining us for this discussion, and all the best to all of you in this post-coronavirus environment. And as David said, we're very glad that we've survived COVID, at least so far, and we do hope that that continues for all of us who are participating today. Once again, thank you for your time, and we look forward to interacting with you further.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Once again, if you have questions, comments, please send them to us. For those of you who joined us on Facebook, thank you very much for being part of our opening ceremony. The Ghana Career Fair continues virtually, of course, and it continues only for registered participants. So for those of you who did sign up, now is the time for us to continue with the sessions as we mentioned before. If you go to the agenda tab on the Hubelo platform, that will give you a sense of exactly everything that's happening today. So you can go there, check under the various subgroupings, and you'll see the different trainings and workshops that will be going on, including skills and employability and things on AI and the Internet of Things. For those of you who would still like to touch base with the Ghanaian German Center for Jobs, Migration and Reintegration, and maybe you're not registered for the conference, please do stay in touch via social media, and I'm sure somebody will give you the information that you're looking for. So we'll be with you shortly to continue with our discussions and sessions for today. In the meantime, if you're registered on Hubelo, please check out which session you would like to attend from here on out.